So, welcome back to today's video. Today we cover the state of Saarland in our 16 federal states, or 16 Bundesländer series, to teach you some German and help you learn it kind of naturally in context. And yeah, as always, I'm translating the words by words in terms of the sentence, like in context, and then we're gonna go through the whole thing again. And yeah, today we cover the state of Saarland. Saarland, I'm just gonna pull up a picture for you, and you also, by the way, learn some German facts. This also kind of describes it. This is probably one of the, I don't know which one, except for the city-states, probably the smallest state. The capital of it is Saarbrücken. I always thought this was a entire different state, but no, this is just the capital of it. Cities which you might know, yeah. I think the only one might be Saarbrücken, then maybe Hamburg, and other cities you might know. Actually, I don't think there are any other ones like to be mentioned, except for those. Any other ones I don't actually know. Yeah, in general, Saarland lies in the very southwest kind of Germany, very much bordering Luxembourg, but very just by a very small margin, you could say, but mostly Germany, of course, lying in Germany, but bordering France. And yeah, any other things to tell? Yeah, I think what's noticeable is it's very small, and it has pretty much its own, I think, dialect and its own character, and is very much influenced by the French bordering, I think. But I might be wrong on that, but I think this is more of the kind of general opinion of the Saarland. So this is the coat of arms of Saarland, and as you can see here, there's a kind of, I don't know what it's supposed to be, it's kind of similar to this of Rheinland-Pfalz. I don't know if it's supposed to be a bear or a lion or whatever, but yeah, and here again we, by the way, have this kind of England flag turned around and this German eagle, I think, and of course the German flag with the like more simplified, not gold version but yellow version. As you might know, if you have kind of like previous knowledge to flags, this is of course derived, not of course, but this, I think, if I'm not completely mistaken, derives from the colors of the what's it called? The Kleidung. Yeah, clothing. Yeah, you could just say clothing. What's it called? The vesture, maybe, of the, or uniforms of the, what's it called? Soldiers that fought for Germany. And with the black for the coat, the red for, I don't know, what was it? Maybe some other decorative elements, and the yellow, or originally gold, for the buttons or something. And yeah, let's just get into the article. I'm of course gonna just translate word by word, and yeah. Seit 1957 gehört das Saarland zur Bundesrepublik. Vorher wechselte es in 200 Jahren 8-mal seine Nationalität. Politisches wie wirtschaftliches Zentrum ist die Hauptstadt Saarbrücken. Dank vieler renommierter Forschungseinrichtungen tauften die Saarländer ihre Heimat Welthauptstadt der Informatik. Besucher erleben Gastfreundlichkeit und Naturschönheiten. Daten und Fakten: Bevölkerung 1 Million, Landeshauptstadt Saarbrücken, Größe 2570 Quadratkilometer, Bruttoinlandsprodukt in Millionen Euro 2024 42.589, Platz 15, Bruttoinlandsprodukt pro Kopf 2024 42.877, Platz 10, einzigartig, trat erst seit 1957 der 1949 gegründeten Bundesrepublik bei, in Klammern kleine Wiedervereinigung. Sitze im Bundesrat 3. Platz 1 im Ranking, PKW pro Einwohner. Es sind 0,64. Special Fact: In der Qualifikation zur Fußball-Weltmeisterschaft 1954 trat das Saarland gegen Deutschland an und verlor 0:3 und 1:3 gegen den späteren Weltmeister. So. Seit 1957 gehört das Saarland zur Bundesrepublik. Since 1957, of course in German you always say the first, like the lowest ziffer before the second, you could say, Ziffer? I think it's also Ziffer, number. I think you get what I mean. 1957, since 1957, gehört, it, belongs, derives from the word hören, even though this is very far, which just means to hear. Gehören means to belong. I think it has something to do with following along, like to hear, but yeah, this is another story. Gehört das Saarland, das Saarland, which is Saarland, I think in English, to the Bundesrepublik, Federal Republic of Germany, of course. Bundes just says of the 16 federal states, Republik. Vorher, before that, vorher wechselte es in 200 Jahren 8-mal seine Nationalität. Before, changed it, vorher wechselte es in 200 Jahren, years, 8-mal, 8 times, seine, its, or in this case kind of his, but it is das Bundesland, das Saarland, but yeah. So it's kind of the neutral form, but there is used the male form, seine, its, nationality, Nationalität. So since 1957 belongs, like word by word, the Saarland to the Federal Republic. Before that, changed it in 200 years, 8 times its nationality. So seit 1957 gehört das Saarland zur Bundesrepublik. Vorher wechselte es in 200 Jahren 8-mal seine Nationalität. Since 1957, the Saarland belongs to Germany, basically. Before that, it changed in 200 years, 8 times its own, like, nationality. It's belonging to a different state or being an own state. Politisches wie wirtschaftliches Zentrum ist die Hauptstadt Saarbrücken. Politisches, political, wie, like, wirtschaftliches, economic, Zentrum, center, is, the female, Hauptstadt, which is female, because Stadt is female. This means main city word by word, but this just means capital. Saarbrücken, which is the capital, of course. So political as well as economic center is the capital Saarbrücken. Politisches wie wirtschaftliches Zentrum ist die Hauptstadt Saarbrücken. Dank vieler renommierter Forschungseinrichtungen tauften die Saarländer ihre Heimat Welthauptstadt der Informatik. Thanks to, you could say. Dank, as a word itself, can also mean a, like, thank. Do you say? Der Dank. The thanks, yeah. But in this case, this just means thanks to. You don't need a to, like zu, but you just say Dank. Dank vieler, thanks to many, vieler, many. Wem, this is why it's vieler, thanks to many. Renommierter, is it called renomated? Renommiert. Renowned, yeah. Renowned. Forschungseinrichtungen, this derives from the word Forschung, which means science or research. Forschung, with the S, this is genitive, and this says this is belonging to that. So, Einrichtung means, you could say, in this case, office. I'm just gonna translate that. furnishing, yeah, not necessarily in terms of furniture, facilities maybe, establishments, institutions, yeah, institutions, yeah, probably this. So thanks to many renowned research institutions, tauften, what's it called, baptized, is it that called this way? Taufen. Yeah, to baptized, but this is a kind of saying, but in this case word by word, baptized the Saarländer, Saarland people, you could say, their Heimat, home area, home federal state, you could say, Welthauptstadt, which means world, Hauptstadt means, as we already said, capital here. It was capital, this is capital kind of the world. Der, of the in this case. Informatik, which means IT. Is it called IT? Informatik. Yeah. Computer science, of course. This is the correct translation. So, thanks to many renowned research or science institutions, the Saarland people, you couldn't necessarily say baptized, but in this case I'm going to say baptized, their hometown or home area, world capital of the computer science or of computer science. But just to kind of explain that, taufen in this case means in German, in the more, I would say, what's it called, figurative sense, it means to call something some kind of way, to give it this or that meaning, to, I think you get what I mean, to, yeah, just, there's another word in German, einweihen, also kind of more like church-wise, I guess, and this is inaugurate, and yeah, this is, I think you get the hang of it by now. This we also already did. Dank vieler renommierter Forschungseinrichtungen tauften die Saarländer ihre Heimat Welthauptstadt der Informatik. Besucher erleben Gastfreundlichkeit und Naturschönheiten. Besucher, visitors, derives from the kind of root word suchen, which means to seek, to search for, look for, anything of this kind of type, you could say. Besucher, so visitors, erleben, experience, of course derives from the word leben, which means live, or life if it was written as a noun. Yeah, but this means you could say live through if you want to translate that this way, but this just means experience. Gastfreundlichkeit, which derives from the word guest. Gast means guest. Freundlichkeit or freundlich means friendly. Freundlichkeit means friendliness. So visitors experience friendliness to guests, or is it called hostility or something? I'm not quite sure. Hospitality this way. What does hostility mean? Kind of curious. Maybe it's something completely false. Yeah. So let's see. Yeah, this is definitely not the translation. So they experience hospitality und Naturschönheiten and nature. Natur means nature. Schönheiten, schön in general means beautiful. Schönheit means like a beauty, you could say. So beauties of the nature. Besucher erleben Gastfreundlichkeit und Naturschönheiten. Visitors experience friendliness to guests or hospitality and beauties of the nature, you could say. So let me just translate that. Maybe there's a more direct translation. Natural beauties, yeah. I don't know. Daten und Fakten. So data and facts. Bevölkerung, population, 1 Million, 1 million, Landeshauptstadt, capital of the federal state, Saarbrücken, Größe, size, 2,570 square kilometers, 2.570 Quadratkilometer. Bruttoinlandsprodukt in Millionen Euro, 242.589, Platz 15. Keep in mind that the dot is not a comma, as it is maybe in German or other languages, like in the in the European sphere, there is a difference between comma and a point, whereas in America or wherever you're from, this might be different with just putting a point anywhere you want to, except for like decimals, but yeah. So GDP in million euros 2024. Did I already say that? 42.589, Platz 15. 42,589 euros in million. So 42.589 42 Milliarden 589 Millionen, Platz 15, 15th place, which is, as I already mentioned, is kind of indicating how, I wouldn't say unimportant it is, but like in terms of economy, it doesn't make a lot of money, and this is also what I was saying and kind of emphasizing on my point that it is one of the smallest states, and because it has not a lot of cities that are very known, except for maybe Saarbrücken, which is the capital, like Berlin or, I don't know, Bremen maybe, not necessarily Bremen, but for example Hamburg, they probably overtake these kinds of states because, or this state, in like especially because this is just not, even though it has more cities and more people working and, you know, all that stuff, in kind of relational terms, it's just not making that much money, at least like economically speaking. So Bruttoinlandsprodukt pro Kopf, which is as always GDP per head, but per head means of course per person. 2024, 42.877, Platz 10. 42,877 euros per person, Platz 10, place 10, 10th place, in terms of course the list of 16 federal states. So in general, this is just another, like, I mean, not necessarily, but I think this is probably more rated in terms of the list better than it's better than 15th place, but this just also emphasizes that it's not that like economically and generally so strong. And I think, I don't know how many people only 1 million. I didn't actually realize that whilst reading that. This is not that much. I mean, like, if you compare that to North Rhine-Westphalia with like 18 million, which is, I know, a lot, but for example, even Berlin with, I think, like 3 million or something. Let me just check. Berlin Einwohner. Sorry, with a not capital I, of course, but yeah, 3.78 million. That is, of course, not a lot. I mean, I said there are more people, but even this turns out to be not so true. But yeah, this just says that, or shows that it's not necessarily economically so strong, either because the people are not that much, but also I think because it's just not there is no like big thing going on, no like big attraction. It's more like nature, and I think for nature, probably nature purpose, like touristic, if you want something more silent, more country style, like, might be completely mistaken, but I think this is probably better than, for example, Berlin. So where were we? Einzigartig, which is special basically, trat erst 1957 der 1949 gegründeten Bundesrepublik bei, in Klammern kleine Wiedervereinigung. This is also, by the way, something I didn't know, but we're going to translate that first. Trat, this is trat bei, so beitreten. This is basically, to join, to enter into. Basically, bei is like by or into. Treten, generally is more like to kick someone, but beitreten is just to join or to come in. But yeah, trat bei, trat erst, only like in terms of time, like very late basically, but this also means like first, but in this case it means just very late. 1957, der, to the basically. 1949, 1949, gegründeten, founded, this derives from word gründen, which means to found something or establish. Bundesrepublik, so the kind of united German republic after this whole Second World War, after this whole Second World War, there was a lot of trouble, of course, and this took a lot of time to kind of establish Germany as one, and this only, trat bei, kind of, joined Germany only in 1957, which I actually didn't know before that, but interesting. So it might be worth checking out the history of Saarland, which probably, as I'm guessing, because there was something about switching between the states or nationalities, that's maybe even belonged to France at some time. But yeah, there's also a funny fact which we're gonna also get into in this last thing. So yeah, kleine Wiedervereinigung means kleine means small, but for the feminine form. Wiedervereinigung means reunion. We had that one of the last episodes. Wiedervereinigung. Reunion, yeah. So the small reunion trat erst 1957 der 1949 gegründeten Bundesrepublik bei, kleine Wiedervereinigung. So, yeah. In general, you would say es trat bei, but you could also say that, but this just sounds a bit like slightly more, more umgangssprachlich. Colloquial, yeah. Sitze im Bundesrat, seats in the Bundesrat. 3, Bundesrat is of course the kind of reigning organ or representation for the 16 federal states with their people, and 3, as you can see, I think this might also be the lowest that I've seen in this entire series, if I'm not completely mistaken. Even I think lower than states like maybe Bremen or something, which are city-states. But this is another like indication that this just doesn't have that much like importance, like presence in Germany. And I think a lot of people also, when they kind of have to, aufzählen, it's called in German, enumerate list the German 16 federal states, they they probably forget a lot of times that the Saarland even exists. But yeah, Platz 1 im Ranking. Place 1 in the ranking. PKW pro Einwohner, es sind 0,64. PKW, which is a shortening for Personenkraftwagen, which means person, power, just very dissected. Wagen means basically car or vehicle, and this just means passenger cars. Kraftwagen means like something that can move something with power, so a car basically. Wagen in general, I would say a vehicle, but cars, more like cart, you could say, and Kraftwagen is like kind of a powered cart. I don't know, but this is not worth diving into, I think, for now. So PKW is very much the often used term to abbreviate that and say this is a car. PKW pro Einwohner, car per resident, you could say. Einwohner derives from the word wohnen, which of course means to live somewhere, reside, stay, dwell, hang out, I think you get what I mean. Es sind 0,64. It are, you could say, but it just means it is, or yeah, the value is in this case 0.64. Yeah, in English you'd say point, in German you'd say Komma. 0,64. Es sind 0,64. I don't know if this is, in terms of the content, meant to be that is positive or negative. Positive because of the lowest climate, whatever index, or negative because, I don't know. But like, or is it the highest of people? I don't know. Because half a car seems not a lot to me, but maybe I'm just completely kind of brainwashed, if you know what I mean. Or like not imagining the kind of right thing. I think you get what I mean. Anyways, so special fact, in der Qualifikation, this is kind of the funny fact, which we're gonna get into, which I was kind of referring to when I said talked about the reunion of Germany, or first, or whatever. In der Qualifikation zur Fußball-Weltmeisterschaft 1954 trat das Saarland gegen Deutschland an und verlor 0:3 und 1:3 gegen den späteren Weltmeister. So, special fact, in the qualification to the football, or soccer, as you say maybe in America, Weltmeisterschaft, also abbreviated VM a lot of times, which is World Cup. World, Meisterschaft. Meister means master. Schaft is just kind of the same as like ship in friendship or whatever. I think you get what I mean. Meisterschaft means, yeah, like in championship, you could say. So, World Championship 1954, which Germany won for the first time, 1954, 1972, 1990 something, and 2014, of course. I was about to Google it, but I'm not that interested right now. Und trat das Saarland gegen Deutschland an und verloren 0:3 und 1:3 gegen den späteren Weltmeister. Trat an, this derives from the word antreten, or is a conjugated version of the word antreten, which means to compete, of course, or yeah, to like, yeah, I don't know, take on, maybe, like, basically to, for example, fight against someone or play against someone, antreten. Could means, or like, could derive from the word treten, which we already, I think, said at some point. That means to kind of step or kick or whatever someone, I don't know, step, yeah. Step in terms of stepping up somewhere, but general can means to kick someone. But antreten, of course, yeah, compete, you could say. So that it competed, trat an, like just in English you have to say that as one. It competed, das Saarland, the Saarland, gegen, against, you compete against, Deutschland, Germany, of course, an, deriving from that, or belonging to that, rather. Und verlor, past form, first past form of to lose, verlieren. To lose. Lost. 0-3, or in English you would probably say 3-0 in kind of slang form, but 0-3. 0:3, in German you always say 0:3, 1:3 in this case here. And you don't say like O or whatever, you say 0:3. Maybe you can like abbreviate that more with 0:3, just not saying the, what's it called? Is there a Doppelpunkt? This is the way you say that. Colon, yeah. Of course not the thing that's in your body, but this thing. So, lost 3-0 or 0-3 und 1:3, verlor 0:3 und 1:3, and 1-3, not of course not 1-2-3, but 1-3, gegen den späteren Weltmeister, against the späteren later Weltmeister world champion. So kind of funny because I didn't actually know that like technically speaking the Saarland has never ever been the part at least of being the 1954 world champion. I mean, there's also history with the DDR not being part of Germany and competing against Germany, and I don't know, did they beat them at some time? I don't know. I think in the 70s or 80s, or I don't know which time. But yeah. So yeah, this was, I think, it. And they lost against, in 1954, where Germany won the world championship. And yeah. So that was it for today with the episode of the 16 federal states. I hope you learned something. I hope you learned something about Germany and some German, hopefully. If you want to leave a comment if you want to, subscribe, and see you in the next episode. Bye!